Hi guys, so today I wanted to talk about why it is so vital that alternative states or age regressed states do not educate about DID or CPTSD due to their beliefs and their issues with the past. So I'm going to read sections about the nature of the attachment system. The stability of early childhood attachment patterns is well demonstrated. Mary Ainsworth and her colleagues developed a procedure commonly known as the strange situation, which classifies infants and toddlers into one of the four attachment categories. There's four. One is secure. Infants explore readily in the presence of the primary caregiver, are anxious in the presence of the stranger, are distressed by caregiver's departure and brief absence, repeatedly seek contact with the caregiver following a brief period of separation, and are reassured by renewed contact. So that's healthy, okay? So, number 2. Some infants who are usually made less anxious by separation do not automatically seek attention with the caregiver on his or her returning following separation and may show no preference for the caregiver over the stranger. These infants are known as anxious and avoidant. So, number 3. The anxious/resilient infant manifests impoverished exploration and play, tends to be highly distressed by separation from the caregiver, but has great difficulty in settling after reunion, showing struggling, stiffness, continued crying, or fuss in a passive way. Now, number 4. A group of infants appear to exhibit a range of seemingly undirected behavioral responses, giving the impression of disorganization and disorientation. Infants who manifest freezing, hand clapping, head banging, the wish to escape from the situation even in the presence of a good caregiver, are referred to as disorganized and disoriented. It is generally held that for such infants the caregiver has served both as a source of fear and as a source of reassurance. Thus, the arousal of the attachment behavioral system produces strong conflicting motivations. Not surprisingly, a history of severe neglect or physical or sexual abuse is often associated with the manifestation of this pattern. So why am I talking about this? Well, as you can see, if a child is severely abused, okay, and you have age-regressed alternative states of mind, those states of mind live off of old beliefs, past memories, past trauma, past flashbacks. So what happens is if you allow those alternative states of mind to educate on a disorder, they can give misinformation. They can act inappropriately. So that is why I am discussing this in great detail, so you understand that when you are in an age-regressed state of mind, I don't think it's a good idea to educate about such a rare and distinct disorder. So let's continue on. If attachment is linked to a dissociative disorder, we may anticipate a substantial overlap between detriments of infant security and predictors of personality disorders, particularly dissociative or identity problems. Parents with unresolved patterns of attachment, most likely associated with their own backgrounds of recent loss or childhood maltreatment or abuse, present alternating frightened and or frightening emotional displays to their child. Consequently, the child is likely to develop numerous contradictory of self-caregiver constructs. So, if you notice here, if you are abused as a child, okay, severely, let's go with the DID theory here. Parents are usually mistreated themselves and they have not got the proper help to raise a child correctly, okay? So it is vital that if you are a parent and you have DID, that you learn parental classes, you take on reading and learning new roles, learning how to regulate your emotions, things like that. As a parent myself, I have made mistakes as a parent. All parents do. But I've decided to change this pattern, okay? We're talking 2 or 3 generations back of abuse, because these things were taught to my family members, okay? These were things that they were raised with, so they assumed it was normal. When I decided to change the dynamics of this pattern, it took a lot for me to understand that this was not my fault, that it was not my, choice to be treated this way, okay? I still struggle with that. I still think if I would have done this differently, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Excuse me. So that is the issue with educating on this, with proper training and proper studying. If you all of a sudden find out you have DID and you decide, I'm going to educate on it instantly, it could give misinformation, especially if you're in an alternative state of mind. So let's continue on. Equally, the child may see the parent as unconcerned and his or herself as unworthy of parental attention. At other times, when the parent is aggressive and frightening, displaying uncontrolled and perhaps uncontrollable emotion, the child has no escape from terror, and persuasive sense of helplessness may be the consequence. The internal working models of these infants are thus likely to include extreme negative representations of the self as evil or devilish at times, as well as manifesting a multiple and incoherent, unintegrated structure. It is not surprising then that, when reunited with the caregiver, such infants display contradictory behavioral patterns towards the attachment figure. Some show signs of disorientation of attention, glazed facial expressions, mistimed movements. Now I want to talk about the mistimed movements, because when I am in an age-regressed state of mind, I have no awareness of the reality of my environment very well. My movements are very slow, my coordination skills are slow, and because of the digging into my history, the investigation towards my past, they discovered even in my school records, there are reports of cognitive behavioral issues when I was 5-6 years old, and I had to be reassessed for kindergarten, okay? Other children manifest disorganized behavior, displaying rapidly cycling contradictory behavior patterns, e.g., proximity seeking and fighting, avoidance and crying, inappropriate laughter or distress in the caregiver's absence, followed by a complete collapse. In both the disoriented and the disorganized infants, the manifest failure to mount coherent behavior strategies is evident. So there were times in my childhood when I've talked to people about how my behavior was and what I've done, many people said that it would change. One minute I was very clingy, happy, wanted attention. The next minute I was very shy, hidden, and then there'd be times where I was angry and fighting and wild, okay? So that's what they're talking about here. It's, you will notice a strange pattern in a child if they are being abused or neglected. So last, let's talk about the therapeutic relationship, shall we? Such behaviors are at least analoged to the behavior of dissociative patients in the therapeutic relationship. For example, they may assume a glazed expression look, as if they were absorbed in a trance-like state. In such states, they may express intense affect without being able to report why, and or when questioned, they are unable to report a mental event, thought, image, or memory. Okay, so that's where the amnesia comes in. That might relate their observed behavior to concurrent events. They are clearly split off or estranged from the ongoing dialogue with the therapist. So there's those moments of silence, and I seem to deal with that a lot. Okay. Some patients may manifest an extremely rapid succession of different attitudes to their therapist, not simply opposite poles of the same emotional dimension, e.g., love and hate. So, what they're talking about is this for me, I'm very shy, I'm very stressed when I'm in my therapy. I try to calm down, and sometimes when something is triggered, I will change my my emotions. They get irregulated. They'll show a hate or a love kind of relationship. Littles are more apt to show emotions and affection, and teen alternative states are more aggressive and more at a stance. But a range of attitudes indicating substantial fragmentation, e.g., asking for comforting and attention when wanting to quit, then expressing the hope that they are loved, then feeling they are dangerous for those around them, then angrily accusing the therapist of having damaged them, then showing fear of the therapist, and so on. So there's like this deregulation, okay? At this stage, they appeared to the therapist / observer as if they spoke with multiple voices. So again, I'm going to point blank state. DID is very real, but in and of itself, it is really a coping mechanism. So it's not in reality multiple people. It is multiple states of mind being triggered or activated, okay? So last, it says these findings are consistent with the assumption of a link between disorganized early attachment and disassociation. So basically, what I'm saying is that you really need to watch what you do if you are educating on the disorder, because it can be very dangerous, especially if your state of mind is not yourself and it is an alternative state of mind. So last, here's the references, if you can see them. And there's quite a few pages on that, as you can see. And there. So, why do I push that? Why do I push, please don't show your alternative states of mind online? Again, I repeat, it is vital that you really do your homework. I think it is, in my opinion, okay to maybe show a state of mind that is age regressed if it's carefully laid out and you have the permission of your mental health care professionals to do so. Otherwise, having your spouse, if they're not trained in dissociative disorders, they can trigger that alternative state of mind when recording them. Keep in mind, some children were videoed as they were abused, and it can be very difficult for that state of mind to be able to heal if they are constantly bantered and wanting, the spouse or person taking care of them to show them. It's not safe. And I find that after over 20 years of suffering with this disorder and 10 years of intense therapy covered by EMDR, CBT, DBT, and DNMS, it is vital that you stick to the therapy for a long time. And when your therapist or mental health care provider feels that you're able to give tips or help on the disorder, then you can, but make sure that you have a team, somebody to monitor the content to make sure it is appropriate for other viewers. And that is what I do. I find it difficult that quite a few people don't, and they make a mockery or glamorize the disorder or sexualize the disorder to the point of sometimes showing drug use or sexual activity, or repeating, making videos of their trauma. It's not healthy, and it can be dangerous. So please stop doing it. So that is pretty much all I have today. As you can see, I am in another different location. I'm dealing with some deregulation myself, and I'm trying to focus on quiet areas to where I can calm down and work on myself. So that is all I have today. Loves. Bye.